Keith 121261 asked the question, does it make, can you use a 4-prong Morse taper drive in your Nova chuck? Well, for some, using a drive center in a chuck makes sense. In this video, I'm going to explain what works and what doesn't work. Let's get into it. The reasons for using a drive center in a chuck stated by various manufacturers that sell one is that you don't have to remove the chuck in order to do occasional spindle work. Technitool says theirs is designed for the bowl turner or does occasional spindle work. This accessory can be quickly mounted in your Nova chuck and can carry out spur center functions, and it's got 4 prongs that dig into the wood. They've also got a different model. I think I've got a picture here with various prongs similar to the Sorby stem center that bites into the wood, and it's spring loaded. Now the third reason, it's quick and easy to size a tenon. I'm just going to concentrate on the area where the tenon goes. So by sizing, by visibly being able to see the chuck jaws, you can take your parting tool, in this case beating and parting tool, and visibly side it and get it exactly right. In that case, still a little too large. And there you go. Now, you need to make sure that whatever arrangement you're using, you have enough clearance here to be able to safely get in here like this without fouling with the chuck jaws, and that can be a problem. So let's look at that a little closer. And the last reason for using one would be if your Morse taper is damaged, or you have an old lathe of some sort that it does not have a Morse taper. Some folks might feel that having a drive center chuck's a little faster. Let's just give it a quick time test. Let's say we're starting the test without the drive in the chuck. We put in the drive. We put in the wood blank. We turn the piece. We take it off. Remove the drive center. Put the chuck on. We're ready to go. Took 42 seconds. Now let's look at the same operation with the chuck in place. Gonna reset it. And we're going to start it. So we're going to get our drive center. In this case, I'm using the Technitool, which I have. We'll put this in. We have to get it oriented just right. Can't just stick it in any old way. Now we've got it. Got to wallow a pretty good size hole for this to work with this particular drive center. Mount the piece, turn the piece, take it off. Take the drive center out, we're ready to go. Basically, I don't see a time savings. There may be some situation where you save a second or two one way or the other. I just don't see that being a significant argument for using one. Longtime viewer David Walser made this comment. I believe chuck mounted drive centers are primarily useful for production work. Let's say you're batching out box blanks, ornament blanks, or anything else that started between centers and then mounted in a chuck. A chuck mounted drive center might save a few seconds on each blank, which could add up. On the other hand, a lot depends on your workflow. For example, when I first started turning, I decided to make a bunch, that is 10, pepper mills for family and friends. I batched out all the blanks between centers, making parting cuts and creating the required tenons before mounting any of the blanks in the chuck. So how many times did I switch between using a spur drive and a chuck? Once. Not one time for each of my 10 pepper mills, but one time for all 10. With that workflow, I don't think using a chuck mounted drive center would have saved much, if any, time. But then I'm not a production turner. Thanks for sharing that, David. So let's go to that question that prompted me to do this video. Could you use a 4-prong spur drive that came with your lathe, for example, in your chuck? Well, let's look at it in detail. First of all, we see there's about a 1/2 inch here before the Morse taper thread start. So we're going to pull that out. Now we're going to put in our chuck. All right, now let's see what happens when we put this in. First of all, there's no registration place here. In other words, compared to the Technitool one, which is designed for the chuck glides to come against a flat area and keep it from spinning, there's nothing to keep this from spinning. So we put it in. If we seat it all the way back so it wouldn't damage any part of the Morse taper that's going to go inside, well, you can see that there is very little clearance here for you to take advantage of this. Right here, I would not, personally, I wouldn't want to try to get in there with a parting tool to try to turn that spindle. That's just too dangerous, even if you use a thinner parting tool. So, not such a good idea. Now, if you try to pull it out some, first of all, there's nothing to keep it from sliding back, number one. Secondly, if you try to really clamp down on it, there's a chance that you could damage the taper here, ding it, because this has got a 3-degree taper. The jaws that are clamping it are square, so they're not designed to work together. Now, are there some that might work? Well, let's take a particular example of a drive center and see if it would work and what criteria we'd use to determine if it works. This one is made by Robert Sorby. It's called a Steb Center after its designer, Robert Stebbins. It's fatter here than it is here, so we could push it back until it registers against the chuck jaws. And so it's not going to get pushed back. So in this case, it looks like it meets that criteria. It's not going to damage the Morse taper because it's grabbing in an area that's not going into the taper itself. It's registering, just maybe picking up just a small amount right here at the top. The other criteria is, does it stick out far enough that when you go to actually turn the tenon, you can do so safely? And in this particular one, you can. And a cheap Chinese $20 knockoff, not nearly as good as a Robert Sorby, I can tell you that, is going to work just as well, because it's the area behind here provides a little bit of a shoulder for this to register against the jaws, and it does stick out far enough, as does my record power models. It sticks out, it registers, and it's going to clamp down on an area here that's not going to affect the using it in the Morse taper on the on your spindle, and I can see where it rubs right there, so I can tell there is enough clearance. But there's a lot of them that won't work. Here's one by Rotour. There's nothing for it to register against, so you're going to have a flat trying to grab onto an area that's got a taper. And I think we already looked at the one that comes with a typical jet lathe. Same issue. Number one, well, two issues. Number one, if it pushes down where it registers against the shoulder, not going to damage the Morse taper, but it's too far back to safely use it and turn a tenon here. So different chuck manufacturers may produce one that works with their chuck. The Technitool, they may come in two different models. There's the spur drive like this one by Technitool, and Robert Sorby has one virtually identical. This model fits all the Nova chucks, the normal jaws. It fits the Sorby Patriot chuck. It fits the Record Power SC3 and SC4 normal jaws. And I suspect it'll fit a lot of other chucks, but they may or may not. It depends on whether or not that the thickness of the jaws here fits in that recess. Some models may be multi-tooth. This is a Robert Sorby step drive. Other manufacturers that have a similar design, they don't call it a step drive, they call it a multi-tooth, probably because step is a trademark term by, or copyrighted by, Robert Sorby, because it's named after its designer, Robert Stebbins. But my preference is for the multi-tooth with it's spring-loaded for most drives, for most spindle work, because I just find them easier to use. As I've already pointed out, you've really got to wallow a big hole for these teeth, because this sticks out beyond these, so it gets fairly thick down here. Now, Technitool makes one of these multi-prong designs as shown here. They come in sizes 1/2 inch, 7/8 inch, and 1 1/4. Sorby model, it comes in a 7/8 and a 1 1/4. And now I'd point out the Robert Sorby chuck step drives per Craft Supply USA is not compatible with a Vicmark VM100 chuck, nor the Apprentice chucks, nor the smaller Record Power SC1 and SC2 chucks. Now the Easy Wood chuck mounted drive center will fit most other chucks. It's got a parallel shank with flats for the jaws to register against, and it has finely cut teeth. There are some generic versions. I'll have affiliate links in the description. Again, it might be buyer beware. They may or may not fit your particular chuck.
If you've used a drive center in your chuck, please share your experience in the comments below. If you want to know more about the ins and outs of the various drive centers that are available, and maybe you should consider changing the one you got, you might want to check out the video above. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to help YouTube push it out to other like-minded wood turners. And remember, y'all stay safe. Come on back here.